Morning, all. All right, so we're going to do the preview for 14 games tonight. 14. And I've got some old logos made up into magnets here just because why not? So, because I like using the old logos. Part of this comes from the fact that Ottawa went back to their old ones, so I can go ahead and start using old ones for that. And the reverse retros. I'm like, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So, yeah, 14 games tonight. I've kept it simple because, again, it's a lot of games. It's going to be a busy night. We got 7 games starting at 7 o'clock Eastern, which is 4 o'clock Pacific. Starting with Pittsburgh, who are 4-2-1 in against the 4-1-1 Bruins. In this one, it went to the wire last time. I figure it does again this time. One thing with this year's hockey compared to most days where it's this busy, there's going to be a blowout. There's going to be a game that I don't really have to follow, so I can dump it. This year it's not happening because they're all division rivals. Pittsburgh and Boston are a good example of that. So I hope that this is a good, tight, clean game, and we'll see how things go. Also starting, obviously, at 7 o'clock Eastern, Buffalo at home against the Rangers again. Buffalo's now 3-3-1. If they can take advantage of the Rangers tonight, they can go to 4-3-1 and drop the Rangers to 1-5-1 or 1-4-2. So the Sabres are getting better. I know there are still people not happy with how Ralph Krueger's deploying the lineup, but it's working right now. So we'll see for how long, but it's working right now. Also starting at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, of course, the Philadelphia Flyers, who are now 4-2-1, face New Jersey again, who are now 3-2-1. And for the Philadelphia Flyers, it felt like the last game was a turnaround. We'll see if they can maintain that. One other thing that seems to be happening this season and could have been predicted, it is difficult to get on a nice long run because they're all division rivals. They know you well. And there are so many back-to-back games, and winning multiple back-to-back games against the same opponent, not that easy. Also starting at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, the New York Islanders in against the Washington Capitals, who are 4-0-3. The Islanders are 3-3, and if anybody's going to say, did Shannon just get a set of stickers he turned into magnets just so he could have the fisherman logo for the Islanders preview? Wouldn't you? So yeah, we'll see if the Islanders can bounce back, and if the Capitals can continue to play as well as they've been playing, minus the 4 big names, right? Also starting at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, the Tampa Bay Lightning in against the Carolina Hurricanes. These guys here, who are returning from being shut down due to an outbreak. Tampa Bay 3-1, Carolina 2-1. Tampa Bay's had some games delayed because of outbreaks on numerous teams. Carolina, of course, being one of the teams that's had the outbreaks. So they've got games in hand on other teams, which normally we would look at as being a sort of an advantage. With this schedule being as brutal as it is, it's really not an advantage at all. And this is why deployment of goaltenders too is kind of all over the place. When you're playing 5 games in 7 days, goaltenders are going to get tired. So yeah, Carolina and Tampa, that should be a fun one. And hopefully when they do get the reverse retro games going, I want to see a Tampa Carolina reverse retro game. That'd be nice. The blue Carolina against the gray Hartford Whalers jerseys of the Carolina Hurricanes. So also at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, Florida, who I've talked about how they have all these games in hand due to outbreaks, 3-0, and not their own. Columbus 2-2-3. Columbus needs a win. They do. They need a win. Jack Roslovic will be making his debut for Columbus today. And for Florida, we'll see how they counter that. It'll be interesting to see which line Jack ends up on, if he stays on that line through the whole game, and if he does show that offense that I think is there in his game as well. So, yeah, Carolina is back on the ice. Florida's on the ice tonight. Almost everybody is on the ice tonight. Only 3 teams that aren't. And we'll see if Florida goes to 4-0, if they get off to one of their best starts yet. So the last 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific game is Calgary and against the Montreal Canadiens. Calgary's now 2-2-1 after that appearance against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And Montreal, of course, 4-0-2, coming off of a 2-out-of-3 set over the Vancouver Canucks. And yeah, we'll see how this game goes tonight for Montreal. If they can go to 5-0-2 and really prove that the hype is real. We'll see, though. Calgary definitely needs a win here. Starting at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. The only game that starts at 5 o'clock my time is the LA Kings, who are 3-2-2, and against the Minnesota Wild, who are 4-3. The last game, low shot totals. Kings ended up winning that. Well, the Kings had the low shot total. By the end of the game, Minnesota had a lot of shots, but Peterson kept them out. So we'll see what happens with the Kings tonight. They may be, much like the Ducks, also in California, obviously. Teams that go as far as their goaltending will take them. 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. The Detroit Red Wings in against the Dallas Stars. Dallas is now 3-0 after that narrow victory over Detroit. And I want to say, too, people have been like, hey, you can't talk about, Detroit hanging with Dallas. Look at all these guys out of the lineup for Dallas. Right, and Detroit's got a bunch of guys out of the lineup, too. And there's some key guys, whether you want to admit it or not. They're key guys for Detroit. So Zadina was off to a decent start. Fabry's their number 2 center. It's important that these guys are out and Detroit's still doing well. So Detroit's 2-4-1, Dallas 3-0. They're going to try to see if they or the Florida Panthers can go to 4-0 tonight. And so far, so good for Dallas. They've looked very good. Starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern, San Jose, who are now 3-4, in against the Colorado Avalanche, who are 4-3. San Jose is going to look at that entirety of the game a couple nights ago, and they're going to want to reverse it. They're going to want to be the team that gets all those goals rather than gives them up. And for Colorado, just do what you did last time. Just do what you did last game, and you got a really good chance. We'll see who's the starter tonight. Or the Sharks. At 9 p.m. Eastern as well, as we've got 3 games starting at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. The Anaheim Ducks in against Arizona. The Anaheim Ducks, 3-2-2. Arizona's 2-4-1. And for Arizona, it feels like this is slipping away. And it's just, back-to-back shutouts against. That's an ouch. And they're going to have to try again tonight to try to get that goal and that icebreaker. But it's been a storyline with Arizona for years that they have trouble scoring goals. And it's weird because they're against Anaheim, also a team that has trouble scoring goals. Oh, and the score from the last game was 1-0. It was an unassisted goal by Danton Heinen, was the only scoring in the entire game. So at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, we also get Vegas at home against St. Louis. These games are always a lot of fun. St. Louis has never lost in regulation to the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas will be trying to change that tonight. Vegas at 5-1-1. Pretty good record. And for St. Louis, that first win in Vegas was very important. Again, I know it's early in the season, but considering how short the season is, these games are more important than they would be in a normal season. And also, of course, every game is within your own division, so that makes it more important too. So then we have 2 games starting at 7 o'clock Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, and this is when these 7 games should all be done, and I'll be finishing up these boards. And we get first Toronto in against Edmonton. So because 7 games are done, there'll be 7 games left. I'll be able to pay more attention to the late games than the early games. Toronto's 6-2, Edmonton's 3-5. Toronto can really put the screws to the Oilers with a win tonight. And again, since everything's in the division, works for them. The Toronto Maple Leafs have been very, very good to start the season. They and Montreal have been the best teams in the North. We'll see if that continues to be the case. What they have to watch for is McDavid. McDavid's been great for Edmonton so far this year. And for Toronto, of course, Marner has been on fire. 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific, we finish out the 3 games in 4 nights between Ottawa and Vancouver. Ottawa's now 1-5-1. Vancouver's 4-5. They're trying to even their record tonight. And for Ottawa, they're trying to play a full 3 periods of hockey. I know it sounds really simplistic. It kind of is. But Ottawa, who started out their first 3 games of the year, they looked pretty good to the point where, the panel on Sportsnet that was covering that game, or no, it was on TSN, said, oh, yeah, I could see them being in the playoffs. That's where I kind of gave the timeout sign to the TV, not that they can see me, and said it's a little early for that. And now they're 1-5-1. So them making the playoffs is going to be an extreme challenge. Again, for all the same reasons I outlined before. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I anticipate a lot of goals. I know on Tuesday we had a ton of goals. There was one point where I had, and I can get 3, I have 3 easels that I can put up in here. And I was going from game to game to game and just refreshing the feeds and just putting up the goals as they went up. And there were a ton of goals happening at one point where I was like, seriously, another one? And there's over here? What's going on? There's a power play in this game. What's going on in that game? So yeah, there's going to be a lot of that tonight. But hey, I enjoy that. So tonight's a busy night. Tomorrow's another quiet night. And then Saturday is kind of an in-between. And then Sunday is kind of as well. So, all right. Let me know your thoughts, your winners and all that. Apparently, there's been a lot of people who have been doing the picks on the Discord for the channel. The Discord is always in the description of every video I post. And yeah, so go ahead and jump in there and see how your predictions go. It's fun. It's something we've seen on the channel for years. I'm glad it's now part of the Discord, and hopefully we can have that for next season as well. And maybe starting next season, whoever ends up winning that, we can look at doing some sort of a giveaway or a prize for whoever predicts games the best on there. And yeah, so all right. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. I will talk to you again soon.